Welcome back to The Explainer. Today, we're taking Robert Kiyosaki's financial theories and turning them into a high-value, totally actionable masterclass. We spent a lot of time on the philosophy of wealth, right? But hey, philosophy without execution, that's just daydreaming. So if you've locked in the mindset from our previous explainers and you're sitting there asking yourself, okay, I still want more, well, buckle up. We're diving straight into boots-on-the-ground execution. Kiyosaki actually lays out real-world steps you can take today to stop just thinking about wealth and start actually building it. Here's the game plan. We've grouped Kiyosaki's 9 specific to-dos into 5 relentless phases. 1. Stop, assess, and pivot. 2. Expand your financial mind. 3. Scout and master your market. 4. The power of offers. And 5. Think big and take action.
Let's kick things off with Phase 1, Stop, Assess, and Pivot.
This phase is literally all about the pivot. If you want to change your financial destiny, you have to hit the brakes on your current routine. Just stop. Take a hard look at where you currently sit in the cash flow quadrant and honestly evaluate what is and isn't working for you. Most people, they just wake up, go to work, pay the bills, and repeat. They never actually stop to ask if that cycle is moving them toward financial freedom or just dragging them deeper into the rat race. It all comes back to that classic saying, doesn't it? The definition of insanity is doing the exact same thing over and over and somehow expecting a different result. To find something new, you've got to completely halt the habits that aren't making you wealthy. I mean, if you're doing the exact same thing today that you did a year ago and your bank account hasn't budged, yeah, it's time to stop. Take a breather. Look for a brand new approach.
All right, moving right along to Phase 2, expand your financial mind.
So once you've stopped those old habits, it's time to gather new tools. You need to be aggressively hunting for new ideas. It's an education loop, right? You look for a new formula, find an expert who's already done it, and then you immerse yourself in learning from them. Take classes, read, attend seminars. Kiyosaki says making money is basically like following a recipe. If you don't like the bread you're baking, well, you need a new recipe. Browse the bookstore for unique subjects, go to a seminar, and consciously choose to invest in your financial education before you put a single dollar into an actual investment.
But here's the catch. You absolutely have to act on what you learn. There's this great story in the book where Kiyosaki buys a how-to guide on tax lien certificates called the 16% Solution. Now, he didn't just read it and toss it on a shelf to gather dust. Nope, he executed the formula within days. He literally went out and did exactly what the book told him to do by the very next Thursday. And he completely tuned out a neighbor who tried to talk him out of it, a neighbor, mind you, who had never even tried investing in tax liens themselves.
Seriously, think about who you can take to lunch this week. Finding someone who has already achieved what you want can put your success on the fast track overnight. For that same tax lien strategy we just talked about, Kiyosaki marched down to the county tax office, found the exact government employee handling the liens, and just invited her out to lunch. She was so excited to share her knowledge that by the very next day, thanks to her insider guidance, he had snagged 2 great properties. Just one lunch changed his entire financial trajectory.
Which brings us to Phase 3, Scout and Master Your Market. Mastering your market requires getting your boots on the ground. 10. That is the number of minutes a month Kiyosaki recommends you spend jogging, walking, or just driving around a specific neighborhood. Why? To spot those subtle, tiny changes. Moving trucks, lingering real estate signs, things like that. Because to find a profitable deal, you need a bargain, and bargains come from change. By consistently visiting the same area, even for just 10 minutes while you're getting some exercise, you start noticing when a property has been sitting empty for months or when new shops are suddenly moving in. That repetition trains your brain to spot opportunities that literally everyone else is just walking right past. And you have to look for these bargains no matter what the market is doing. Look at this stark contrast. Kiyosaki points out that when a supermarket has a sale on toilet paper, right, consumers rush in and buy a ton of it. But when the housing market or the stock market goes on sale, which the news always calls a crash or a correction, those exact same consumers panic and run away. You've got to flip that script. Think like an investor and run toward the bargains. Never forget the undeniable rule of wealth. Profits are made when you buy, not when you sell.
Next up is Phase 4, the power of offers.
Look, you can scout neighborhoods all day long, but if you don't ask, you don't get. Making offers is purely a numbers game, a game of volume. You have to get out there, talk to people, and just put out offers, even if they feel ridiculously low. Because most sellers are asking for way too much anyway, and you simply don't know what the real price is until you have a second party willing to negotiate. Kiyosaki says finding a good deal is exactly like dating. You can't just sit on the couch waiting for the phone to ring. You have to go out, search, make offers, deal with rejection, negotiate, and eventually you'll get a yes.
Now, if the idea of throwing out all these offers makes you nervous, here's a brilliant little trick. Use escape clauses. This is just language in your offer that says the deal is subject to a certain condition, which lets you back out safely if you need to. For example, Kiyosaki likes to make offers subject to the approval of my business partner. And the funny part, he never specifies who that partner is. It could literally be his cat. If he decides he doesn't want the property, he goes home, talks to the cat, and cancels the offer. It's really that simple, and it completely wipes out the risk of making lots of offers.
Finally, we arrive at Phase 5. Think big and take action.
If you want to generate massive momentum, you've got to expand your vision. A lot of people only look for what they can afford right now, so they end up buying small and paying more for less. Instead, think big. Kiyosaki's strategy is to buy the pie and cut it in pieces. He actually tells a story about finding a massive piece of land he couldn't afford on his own, so he tied it up with an option, sold a chunk of it to a friend who wanted it, paid off the whole thing with that money, and ended up keeping a piece of the land for himself, entirely for free. Markets reward volume. Small thinkers just don't get the big breaks.
And that brings us to the ultimate law of wealth generation. Action always beats inaction. You must physically take the steps to execute, because all the knowledge in the world is completely useless if you don't act on it. You can read 100 books, listen to every single explainer out there, but until you actually put in an offer, or take a mentor to lunch, or go scout a neighborhood, nothing changes. So as we wrap up this masterclass explainer, I want to leave you with a provocative question. What will you do today with the two great gifts of your mind and your time? Kiyosaki reminds us that with every single dollar that hits your hand, you hold the power to choose your destiny. Spend it foolishly and you're choosing to be poor. Buy liabilities and you join the middle class. But if you invest that money into your mind to learn how to acquire real assets, you are choosing wealth. And you make that choice every single day. If you're ready to keep taking action and mastering your financial intelligence, hit that subscribe button right now so you don't miss our epic conclusion to the series. We've got one final wrap-up coming that ties all of Kiyosaki's legendary principles together into one cohesive strategy. Thanks for hanging out, and I'll see you next time on The Explainer.